Hey guys, my name is Ray and welcome back to my channel Paper Cuts and Ink. Today we are doing my August wrap-up. Now, could August have gone better? Yes, absolutely, but I kind of set myself up for failure. First, I want to address though that we are outside. It's kind of overcast and the sun keeps coming in and out, and so I was sitting in front of the window, it wasn't working, so I moved us outside. So now we are actually in my front yard, which is a little weird, but we're gonna make it work. I had high expectations for August. I didn't take into account that I'm an adult and I have a lot going on right now. We're moving for the 100th time, I think I've said it, but we're moving, so there's a lot happening where I just didn't get to read as much as I wanted to. My August TBR was 15 books. In the month of August, I ended up adding 5 books, which I guess is fine, except I didn't read any of those or I read some of them, I kind of changed them out. And so for the month of August, I ended up actually reading 14 books. So I just read 1 book less than my initial TBR, but I know that I had added 5 more books, but 20 books was just unrealistic this month. I could not get it done for the life of me. I filmed like a vlog for trying to wrap up my TBR for August to just see how many books I could get done. It was terrible. The vlog is terrible. I'll probably only let you see a snippet of it, maybe like 2 snippets. I'll give you a little piece. It's gonna pop up right now. And I know what you all are thinking. You're thinking, aren't you supposed to be doing yard work? And you would be right. But that is exactly why I did not do the whole vlog, because it was terrible. It was awful, and I wasn't actually successfully getting any reading done. Like, I think maybe I read 2 more books during that vlog, and it just didn't seem worth it. So for the month of August, I read 14 books. I read 5 5-star books, 2 4.5 stars, 2 4 stars, 3 3 stars, 1 2 stars, and I actually DNF'd a book, which I don't usually do, but I literally could not. And it's kind of a book that if you actually saw my TBR video, like, it makes sense that I DNF'd it and I couldn't get through it for the life of me. I got to maybe page 40 and stopped. So let's just get into it, and I'll let you guys see the books that I read in August, the books that I actually got to. Down Among the Sticks and Bones, Beneath a Sugar Sky, and In an Absent Dream by Seanan McGuire. These 3 books were absolutely amazing, and I still love the Wayward Children series. I know that it's either you love it or you hate it, but I absolutely love them. I think that they're amazing and spectacular and wonderful. It's surprising to me that I really thought that I was going to give every single one of these 5 stars, and I did until I got to the 3rd one, and I just realized that I do have a preference when it comes to them, and I rated the first book. I read that book and I gave it 5 stars because I just thought it was amazing. But now thinking back, it would probably be more like a 4.5. But here's why, right? So if I was probably a person in this series, I would most likely be someone who goes to a logical land, because the books that include more structure of like these worlds where, you know, you have to be a statue or whatever the case may be, I prefer those books. So I gave Down Among the Sticks and Bones, which follows twins from the first book, and it kind of tells us their story about their world where there are vampires and monsters. One of the girls is kind of like a Frankenstein-esque situation where she's in this tower with this scientist and she does all of these wonderful things. Oh yeah, I broke my nail. Not that you guys care about that, but I did. I broke my nail. Loved, 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 loved. It read like a TV show. Like I could literally see like the Twilight Zone, where there's this narrator and he's like, little did they know that they wouldn't return, or you know, they walked in. It was just so good. 5 stars. I originally gave Beneath the Sugar Sky 5 stars as well, but after reading the third one, I dropped it down to 4.5 stars, and this one, they traveled to Candy World in hopes of resurrecting one of their friends who have passed away. I don't know, is that too much? I don't know. It was very, very cool. It had Alice in Wonderland kind of a feel, but I just didn't enjoy this one as much as I enjoyed Down Among Sticks and Bones and In an Absent Dream, which I gave 5 stars. This book is probably my favorite out of the series so far. There's 4. I can't wait to read the 5th one next year, but I absolutely loved this with my whole heart, and if I could read it again right now, I would. So the next book that I read in the month of August is When You Are Engulfed in Flames by David Sedaris. This book was a part of the Pay It Forward series that I started this month, actually. So I'm not going to go too into detail about this. So I gave this book 2 stars. This book wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It's a collection of essays, and it's pretty much stories going through this man's life. I really only enjoyed 2 of the stories, and yes, other than that, I didn't like it. I didn't get it. It reminds me of nothing I've ever read before, but I also think that there is somebody out there who would like this, so I don't want to deter you guys from reading it, because maybe you'll love it. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm crazy, but I just couldn't get into it the way that I wished that I could have. The next book that I read this month was The Tales of Beedle the Bard by J.K. Rowling. I have actually never read this, and for as big of a Harry Potter fan that I am, it is bizarre and weird and doesn't make any sense, but I finally read it. It's nostalgic. Yeah, that's pretty much what I got out of it. I did have a favorite story. It was Babbity Rabbity and Her Cackling Stump was my favorite story in this, and yeah, it's nostalgic. It was wonderful. I would give this 4 stars. The next book that I read is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I finally did it. I finally picked it up. I finally read it, and it was amazing. I loved this book so much that I couldn't even deal. I loved everything about this. I loved the very magical system. It's so good. It is about a girl who, or really a world where there are fairies and there are humans. The humans are terrified of the fairies because a long time ago there was war. The main character is helping her family survive. She lives with her 2 sisters and her dad, and she's really the one taking care of them. She goes out hunting. She ends up killing a fairy, and that's kind of where our story begins. I don't want to tell you too much, but it's so good. 5 stars. Highly recommend. If you love fairies and you love adventure and you love a good book, this one is it. This is for you. It's beautiful and I loved it. This is actually the book that I DNF'd, which is wild because I gave this 5 stars. But I also read a lot of reviews where I saw that, you know, it's a very huge possibility that you could love one and not the other, and I did not love this at all. I got to maybe page 40 and I hated it. I hated everything about it. I hated the character, the main character. I don't even know her name. I don't care because she was terrible. And I can't even tell you really what this is about. I just know that she's an assassin. The next book that I read this month is Holes by Louis Sachar. This was a part, again, of the Pay It Forward series that I just started on my channel. I read this along with When You Are Engulfed in Flames. The Holes I gave 3 stars. It was also very nostalgic. I've never read Holes before, but I have seen the movie a gazillion thousands of times. Again, there's a whole video dedicated to this book and the other book, and so I won't go too in depth, but basically it's about a boy. He goes to a detention center where they have to dig a hole a day in order to build character or something. There is an ulterior motive to why they dig holes from the people who run the facility, and it is their story. And there were parts of it that, like, as an adult, I didn't appreciate. There was like some race things in here, which it was a little bit surprising. The next couple of books that I read this month was Layer of Dreams by Libba Bray and Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. Layer of Dreams I gave 5 stars, and Before the Devil Breaks You I gave you 5 stars, and that's just that. I love this series so much. It holds such a special place in my heart, and I feel like I haven't loved a series the way that I love the Wayward Children series and the Diviner series in a really, really long time. Like, not since I was in high school and like Twilight existed. And I love these 2 series so, so much. I kind of read these back to back, so it's actually really, really hard to review because the story kind of melded together. Like, I couldn't tell you where this ends and this begins, but basically it's just a continuation of the Diviners. The Diviners have come out and are public. A lot of other people are coming out as diviners into the world, and you know, and a lot of fake diviners as well, and people who are just trying to capitalize on the boom and popularity of the diviners. And there is a new protagonist. You just kind of have to read them. These are sequels, so like I can't really tell you much about them without ruining everything, but you should read them because they're glorious and I loved them. So the next book that I read this month is House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. It is a 12 princess retelling, and it is just so, so atmospheric. It is so beautifully written and dark and twisty and immersive, and you just feel like you are there and you're in it, and it's so magical, and I loved it so much. I gave it 5 stars. We are following Ablaze. She has 3 sisters who have passed away. Her whole family is in mourning. Another sister passes away, and then she kind of gets more suspicious, and she's like, this isn't adding up. Why are we just falling off like one by one? What is happening? And it's so good, and I knew this was gonna be good. Like, not to sound smug or anything, but I knew this was gonna be 5 stars. So it is. It's 5 stars, and you should read it. The next book was not 5 stars. Oh, this is not 5 stars. And if I had ever let you guys see the vlog that I made the other day, you would know how much this is not 5 stars. I also haven't stopped thinking about Sorcery of Thorns, which is funny because I didn't like it, but I can't stop thinking about it and why I didn't like it. I think I'm just really disappointed that I didn't love it. I might read the sequel even though I hated this book. That's possible. This, I expect it to be on this level, you know, because even though the ending in House of Salt and Sorrows wasn't everything that I wanted it to be, it's still, I feel like the ending didn't take away necessarily from the greatness of the overall book, which is why it's still 5 stars for me, and I would totally read it again. Sorcery of Thorns, I will never read again, and this might be the unpopular opinion because everyone on Twitter and everybody that I see is giving this 5 stars and they love it so much, and I want to love it because this book was pretty much made for book lovers. It is about a girl named Elizabeth who is, she's kind of an apprentice to protect books, because books can come alive and they can kind of become monsters, and so they have to protect them, and it's supposed to be really, really magical and wonderful, and I love the idea of the book. I think the idea of this book is so interesting and brilliant, and I want to love it, and I want to be a part of this world. For me, it didn't build up to go anywhere. It wasn't special. I didn't connect with any of the characters. I didn't care about the love interest. I appreciate maybe the tall, like the height rep in this book. I appreciate that she's like not a small girl, and I think that that's important. I think that a lot of people need that. My little sister is very tall, and so I love to see that representation in books. I gave it 3 stars. I read Cersei through audiobook, so I don't have a physical copy. I give it 4 stars. Cersei is obviously kind of about the goddess Cersei, and it was very atmospheric. It's very beautifully written. I definitely want to read Son of Achilles now that I've read Cersei. But basically, it follows the goddess Cersei through her lifetime, which is a very, very, very long life. She experiences a lot of sorrow, a lot of heartbreak, because she is not necessarily considered beautiful within the gods, among the gods. You know, her voice isn't as appealing as it's supposed to be, and nobody really likes her. And so she kind of has to figure out life the hard way. Madeline Miller does such a great job of telling this story that expands such a long period of time. She does it so well in fitting it inside of a readable story and book, and yeah, I really, really loved it, and you should read Cersei by Madeline Miller. The last book that I read in August was Inspection by Josh Malerman. I had very, very high hopes for Inspection. I actually ended up giving it 3 stars. Basically, I also read it in audiobook, so I don't have the physical copy. I will get it eventually. It's not like top priority to get a physical copy of that. Bear with me. So there are a series of boys called the Alphabet Boys who live in a tower in the middle of nowhere, where they have been their entire lives because a group of people wanted to run an experiment to see if boys could be exceptional without the distractions of the world, including the opposite sex. So there's another building, and the exact same thing is for girls. We follow a boy named Jay and a girl named Kay as they figure everything out. And yeah, I gave this book 3 stars. I think that the book could have been shorter. I don't think that it needed to be that long. I also think that it was a little like lackluster. It was a little underwhelming. It wasn't my favorite book in the world, obviously. I gave it 3 stars. But if that sounds interesting to you, you should still give it a try. I think you should still give it a try. Yeah, that's pretty much that. But I had high expectations. I really thought that it was going to be great. I love Josh Malerman's other books, but I really just didn't love this book. So that about wraps up my TBR for August. These are all the books that I read in August. It could have been more books. It wasn't more books. I'm okay with that. I feel like you guys would be okay with that too. And hopefully September is better. Thank you so much for sticking it out with me and chatting with me during my wrap up and seeing all of the books that I did read so that I can share them with you guys, because I love books and you guys love books. And now I'm just rambling, and so I'm gonna end this video, and I will see you in my next video later. I will see you later. Okay, bye.